The School Innovation and Turnaround Committee is called to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Dr. Bopey? Present. Mr. Present. Mr. Davis? Present. Present. Ms. Edmonston? Here. Ms. Present. Mr. Garvey? Here. Ms. Present. Ms. Holloway? Here. Ms. Present. Dr. Jones?
Present.
Ms. Present. Ms. Lewis? Ms. Absent. Ms. Orange Jones? Ms. Absent. Mr. Rock? Ms. Absent. Dr. Thomason? Absent. And Ms. Fauché? Here. You have quorum.
First item, please.
Your first item is on page 1, item 2.1, consideration of a request for material amendments to the Type 2 charter contract for the International School of Louisiana. The department recommendation is to approve the material amendments to change the physical school location and to change admissions procedures related to the world language immersion mission of the charter school.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion, no questions? The motion was made by Mr. Garvey and seconded by Mr. Davis and forgotten by Mr. Jones. Hearing, do we have cards on that?
Not on that item, no.
No, we have no cards on that, so hearing no, is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item, please.
Your next item is on page 6, item 2.2, consideration of the extension of a charter contract for North Shore Charter School. The superintendent will provide an update report and recommendation.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to take no action. All right, it'll work out in a minute. You'll see. Okay, Mr. Davis, who moved it?
I did not move it.
Okay, motion by all three of them, and no.
I got it.
You got it? Okay, good. Please tell me who you recorded there. Okay. And the reason we're asking for this is because of an explanation that the superintendent is going to give us, so let's give it to him.
Thank you. Members, just to bring you up to speed on this, this is a Type 2 charter school located in the city of Bogalusa. It has a failing letter grade, and therefore under our rules, unless an exception is made, you are not to extend it. However, this is a very small district, among the smallest. And if there were not this school, then there would be no choice of schools in the city of Bogalusa. And therefore, I have advised, and you have granted me the ability to work with the two parties in question to try to create a situation where, one, you can continue to abide by your rules and standards as an authorizer, whereby we can also maintain a choice for the children and families within the city of Bogalusa. What that meant is that we would commence discussions between the Bogalusa School Board, led by Mr. Curtis Creel and Superintendent Lisa Tanner, who are here with us today, and with the North Shore Charter Board, led by Mr. Bubba Bourne and their Chief Executive, Ms. Dee Dee McCullough. Ms. McCullough is not represented here today because of a health concern in her family. Nevertheless, she has been in good communication with us throughout this process. We have, over the last roughly 5 months, been speaking with each group. Ms. Tanner was hired a couple of months back and has been, I think, a very positive addition to this process. And in spite of what is a now long history and sometimes been a difficult history, the two parties have agreed, per a letter that was passed out to you, that they will, in fact, join forces. This does not mean that every decision that they need to make is resolved. We're just at the start of what will inevitably be a long journey. But they are committed, per the communication that they've made to you in writing, that North Shore Charter School, as of July 1, will become a Type 1 charter school, which has been granted already by the Bogalusa City Board. In the future, based on an analysis of data, they will make a decision collaboratively as to what grade levels should be in that school. This is a K through 12 school. And I think all parties have been willing to accept that that may have been too much apple to chew in one bite for this school, and perhaps it should be smaller, and they will analyze results based on that. For your purpose, the reason that Chairman Jones has represented the idea that the recommendation should be to take no action, it is that North Shore Charter School, and they can represent this perspective today, intends to turn in their charter. Meaning that no longer would they hold a charter with you. Therefore, there's no reason to make an extension decision or not to make an extension decision about a charter school, about a charter that will no longer exist. And they can do that with security because the charter Bogalusa has already granted. So there's not any concern about a gap in service. I know that first I want to thank Ms. Edmiston, who has worked tirelessly on this process, has poured her soul into this process, and has been a steadying influence throughout this process. This isn't her district. I also want to thank Linda Johnson, who has been a facilitator and I know she will continue to be a guide. She's been a mentor to me in my time in Louisiana, and I wouldn't have expected anything other than what she provided. I'd like to thank the board leadership, Mr. Bourne and Mr. Creel. They showed leadership during this process. They showed resolve, and they both showed an abiding concern for the children. Ms. Tanner, as I said, I think has been a very positive addition to the process. She came in with a level head and was always about quality of education, and I feel the same way about Ms. McCullough. Finally, let me thank Senator Mizell, who from the outset has, for all of us kind of in the education trenches, has sat on her higher perch and has guided us and made sure that we were held accountable to an end result. And I think much of the reason that we're sitting here today is due to her leadership. I'm sure I've left people out of that equation, but I do want to thank you, board members, for giving Ms. Edmiston and me and my staff, Aaron Bendeley, who made a couple of trips over to Bogalusa specifically, for giving us the time to deal with this issue. We are a long way from where we want to be, but we have taken an important step today, and I thank everybody who has participated in the process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to provide that background.
All right. I've got some comments. Would the board prefer that we let those people speak before you ask questions, or would you prefer to ask questions or make statements before? Hearing no reply, let's have the four folks come down. Let me call the names. Lisa Tanner, Superintendent, representing Bogalusa City School System. Adam Kemp, Bogalusa School Board Member, representing Bogalusa City Schools. Bubba Bourne, Mr. Bourne, representing North Shore Charter School, and Grant Gio, also representing North Shore Charter School. And I have no preference as to who speaks first or last, so y'all decide among yourself. I want to take one from each organization first, and then the second one from each. Might be a good way to do it.
Go ahead, Bubba.
Frankie, I don't have a North Shore Charter in light of the agreements reached. One and I feel like we don't need to speak this time.
Oh, okay. Great. Up to y'all now.
Okay, well, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Lisa Tanner, Superintendent, new Superintendent, Bogalusa City Schools. I've been on the job since June the 1st, so I haven't made a full month yet. However, I have worked some in May, and I know this has been at the forefront of what we needed to do in our city. And I want you all to know that first and foremost, we're here today not just about North Shore Charter becoming a Type 1 charter under Bogalusa City, but we're here because of our students, our stakeholders, and our community. That's what this is all about. But I want everyone to know on the board that we have met in good faith. We've met twice personally together, and then we have met several times, more than I can mention now, on conference calls. And we have been working to try to come to some type of an agreement. There was an original letter written after the last conference call that we had. Everyone did not sign it. I was leaving the day that I wrote the letter, and I thought everyone was in agreement, and I left on vacation. So I just got back last night. I was texting and on email until 10 p.m. so we'd have everything ready for you today. So I believe the amended letter everyone has in their hands now. That letter has been rewritten several times. And it is in good faith, we're trying to continue to create that contract that we talked about by October 1 between the school systems to provide choice and the best education we can for our children. However, I do want to say, and it would be remiss of me not to say this as Superintendent of Bogalusa City Schools, that the charter school is moving into its 5th year of existence. And since it has been in existence, it has had a school performance score of a failing score, an F. And that is concerning to me, because as I learned about charter schools, and I come from a public school system in the parish, I understand that charter schools, when we do this, and we move through this process, that score will come to Bogalusa City Schools with us as well. And that is concerning to me. I know that the F, the school performance score, is low, and that's concerning to me. And we have to look at our data, and we will do that so we can move forward in the 16-17 school year. 17-18. I'm concerned about taking on the Type 1 charter school with that low school performance score as we move forward, but we want to improve ourselves in Bogalusa City as well, academically, and that's what my agenda is. I do believe that North Shore Charter has added grades too quickly, causing a financial hardship on Bogalusa City and a larger, greater focus for North Shore Charter academically, and that obviously is a struggle for both systems. I do believe that grade reconfiguration is a necessity for both systems, especially North Shore Charter, to improve and succeed. That will be a part of our contractual agreement. I don't mean reconfiguration in Bogalusa Cities, I mean reconfiguration at North Shore Charter of the schools, grades. But we do, in good faith, move forward and try to come together, and that's what we're doing right now for our children, our community, and our stakeholders. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Next.
Adam Kilm, I appreciate you letting us speak today. I'm sorry, thank you. First, I'd like to start out with some questions for you just to consider. And one of the questions is, after entering an agreement between North Shore Charter and the Bogalusa City School Systems, what would be the outcome if, in the negotiation of the contract, we cannot come to an agreement? Would that affect the Type 1? Would they go back to a Type 2? We had several meetings where we had lots of discussions. In those discussions, it was still tedious. We were still trying to get certain points across. Bogalusa School System is taking on a failing score. We're not where we need to be. We know that. That's why we've hired Ms. Tanner. Her expertise is in the high school level. She comes with us with a vast knowledge, and that's where the focus is going to be on. So I feel we're going to show great improvement in Bogalusa City School System. She's already in the month that she's been there, done more, in my opinion, than many before her didn't do in the 4 years they were there, the 2 years they were there. So I look for a positive outcome for our system. So I'd like to know if in the contract negotiation we cannot come to an agreement, what occurs at that time? The other thing is, if you were sitting in our position, would you be willing to take on a school that is going to affect your school performance score? It's going to give you an F rating. You're going to have to work 10 times harder than what we're already working. So if you were sitting here in our position, what would you do if you had to take on? We are here for the children of Bogalusa, not just Bogalusa City School System, all children. And I do believe, as a parent and as an educator for 25 years, children should have a choice. But if the choice is an F, I wouldn't make that choice to put my child in a failing system. Okay. We are passing, we're not where we need to be, but you have an F rating. So yes, we are a small district, but the choice, if you look at it, we're passing, they're not. We've had meetings where we were told we need to really consider this, because if we don't take this on, then there's people in the wings that are going to open up another charter. That was our first meeting that I attended. So as a board member, we thought, okay, we better look into this. We were, as of last night, the contract was being completed. So we got the contract last night, I do believe, of what we're presenting to you today. So those are questions I just want you to consider where we are. We want to work with the charter school. We want Bogalusa to succeed as a city, not just Bogalusa City School System, not just North Shore Charter. But there are considerations that we're taking on. There's factors that we're going to have to deal with financially and others that really don't, there's not a pro in this. There's a lot of cons on our part.
Okay, if I can maybe set your mind a little bit at ease, and John, please correct me at any point I'm wrong. This is in effect a brand new charter. And so you have the control over what happens with that new charter and so forth. The other thing is, you're not going to get the F that they have right now from us. You get I believe, a temporary rating for that school for a while. I don't know how.
That's
2
the first
years.
I've heard of that.
It's a
T for 2 years.
Yeah, it's two years. You get a turnaround rating for 2 years. So you're not. And I'm sorry, we probably should have communicated that to you a little earlier on. I think that might have set a lot of people's mind at ease. But in effect, this is a brand new charter, brand new start, and you, all parties involved, you work out the negotiation, and ultimately, you control what happens to that to that charter. BESE no longer has a role in it. That's why the motion I asked for was a motion to take no action. Okay, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think I'm happy to talk to you about all the accountability issues. As Dr. Jones says, I think when we transition governance from one school to another, there are changes in the ways that accountability grades are awarded, as Dr. Jones says. I also just want to say, regarding finances, I don't see how this negatively impacts your finances at all. I mean, basically, you take no revenue right now from that school. Now you actually take revenue from that school, and you have no more responsibility for its operations than you ever had before. So I don't see that point. But I think the larger point is, let's deal with those questions. You've set out a timeline. Let's all, with a spirit of optimism, hope for the best in implementing that timeline. Know that there are districts around the state, more than a dozen of them, that have type 1 charter schools. They're in a good position to do exactly what y'all are doing. And I love the sentiment that you expressed at the end, which is y'all have 2,000 kids or so in your city. They're all public school children. They've got to be served by someone. And it's great that the school board has stepped up to take responsibility for all of them. And we will be there to support you every step of the way. If for some reason things don't work out, I'm happy to come back and do this meeting all over again and report back to this board and tell them things haven't worked out. But we are months away from coming to anything final. And God willing, we will find a good way of serving these kids in the long run without this kind of annual confusion. I know that we don't want to go through this again. And so I'm looking forward to a successful outcome.
And I will add to that we also don't want you to be in a precarious position. You are already in a precarious position, okay? But you're making steps. And I think with the process that you're looking at going here, the big thing is BESE is out of the picture when you do this. It's now yours. But with looking at the configuration of the school and making the adjustments that you feel is appropriate, I don't think you have anything to worry about. But we always have the ability at some point to re-look at things that are not working out the way we anticipate that they will work out. I really commend all parties for solving this, because this one was a tough one for us. And we don't want to be on record as either extending or denying if we don't have to be, because we'd like for this to have every opportunity to succeed. And I assure you, Superintendent, we will do what we can to make sure that the process works to your best interest.
Thank you. And I appreciate your clarification on those few things, because that's the first time I've ever heard any of that. So
yeah, we'll make it.
I'm sitting a little bit easier right now.
Well,
thank
good.
you.
That'll get me a pay raise.
Oh, good.
From 0 to 0 plus 1.
Okay.
I'd also like to read into the record that Senator Beth Mizell is in support of the recommendation, and is she still here? There you are. Okay. Do you want to speak? Okay. I don't think they're...
Mr. Chair, I would like to say a few words. Yes.
Okay, certainly.
I've been involved in this in a year, and I can say that there's nothing short of excitement and full energy that is required in education. There is a great need in Bogalusa. At the charter school, we have roughly 641 kids excuse me, that are currently enrolled at the charter school, and those parents did make a choice. I look forward to continuing to be able to provide that choice, but given a path to improve education in the community as a whole. So I think us working together will be a great benefit for the whole community.
Okay. Mr. Bourne, will you read your name into the record?
Yes, Bubba Bourne, North Shore Charter School.
All right. Anyone else at the table care to speak? Okay, Senator Mizell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm here just at a moment of Thanksgiving, actually. I've been in this from the very beginning. I'm a product of Bogalusa schools back in the actual glory days. So hearing the conversations, when you could see the cup could be full, and hearing so much negativity through the process was a difficult thing for a lot of us when we could see the outcome very positively. And I want to thank the superintendent's input. And when you said a spirit of optimism, that is absolutely key. Absolutely key. More than anything, I want to sell this district. I want to see a life that children don't have in this district right now realized. And I think that they are setting an example. Those two bodies coming together for the good of the children in Bogalusa is going to set a fabulous example for all to see. And whether it's on the surface or becomes reality over the next year is what we're all working toward. Is to see a real change and a real improvement for all the children in the schools. And more than anything, I just want to thank you all for sticking with it, for being so helpful. Ms. Johnson was just absolutely stalwart through the whole process. One other little comment. I hear so much emphasis, and we hear this in Senate Education, the grades, the school performance scores. So many parents I talk to don't even know the grades of the child's school. They've made a decision for intangibles that I think are really hard for those who focus on the grades, or it's hard to realize. These parents are making a decision because they don't believe a child is safe in another school. They don't believe it's a good environment for their child. They're not aware of the school performance grade or the breakdown, or how we all at our levels look at it, and how much thought and how much store we put in that. They're looking at where they feel safe when they take their child into the classroom, and where they feel their child will be safe all day. And that is absolutely prime importance to most of these parents we're talking to. So again, I just want to say thank you. I'm excited. I'm going into it with the spirit of optimism, and I really appreciate your help and for all you've done today. Thank you.
Let's see, who made the motion to, you made it? Tony, did you make it? Can we make an amendment to your motion that says to receive the report and to take no further action? That's a technical thing. Okay. Do I have a second on it? Okay. But we do have a second on the, okay, Ms. Holloway. All right, now, we're open for comment, and I recognize Mrs. Holloway.
This comment is for Superintendent Tanner. Superintendent Tanner, you don't have to come up. It's just a compliment to you. Thank you for your consideration and for taking this school on. It is going to be a challenge, but it's exciting, and I can't tell you the results that you'll have from this. I highly recommend that you be in touch with Dr. Joanne Matthews in Lafourche. She is over 2 Type 1 charters, and I'm one of them. That's director over BCA, and I came from the district as a supervisor and crossed into a directorship of this charter under her leadership. And the collaboration that it takes, the unity it takes, it's probably, I'm going to tell you, it is probably one of the best in the state to work with 2 directors of 2 Type 1 charters, and to see productivity, to see the collaboration, to see just people coming together for the best interest of the children. So please be in touch with her, and she'll give you some advice. Thank you.
Any other board members have a comment they'd like to make? Hearing none, the motion is to receive the report and to take no further action. We have a second. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Is that the last item?
That's our conclude your agenda.
All right, we're going to...
Dr. Boakley?
I think 12:30. Does that work?
Can you do, okay. That's the earliest you can start. It's scheduled for 1.
Oh, I thought it was scheduled for 12.
It says 12 on here.
It says 12 on our...
Yeah, I've got 12.
Okay, 12:30 to 12:30. All right. Yes. The next meeting will begin at 12:30.